Public diplomacy is about being able to form strategic alliances between organizations and people and governments in different nations, learning how to represent your message and learning what your message is and learning how to represent that to different publics, to different people, and even to different governments across the globe.
Public diplomacy to me is the management function between a government or an NGO or an international corporation, as well in its relationship with the publics of another country.
I would say public diplomacy is lateral diplomacy, where diplomats recognize the way technology has sort of rendered all physical borders obsolete, and all publics, all people play a role in communicating.
You know, public diplomacy to me means communicating across boundaries, all borders, all countries, and to have a skill set that people need but they don't have.
Public diplomacy to me is listening, it's engaging, it's attention to detail, and I think it's really about involvement and interaction.
We're living in a world right now where for better or for worse, nations are not going to be able to thrive and stand like on their own. The world's being completely integrated. We're all plugged into each other, and without going into too much detail, you really are better off when partnering with somebody who is looking to form a mutually beneficial relationship.
I think right now our world's really dealing with a lot of challenging issues. Economically, I think a lot of countries are really hurting right now, and I think climate change is something that's really real, and it's going to affect all of us, and we really need to come together, people from all countries, and work together for a solution.
Once I learned that public diplomacy was about appealing to foreign audiences or different publics in general, and I learned about nation branding and reputation management, it became a really big interest of mine, because let's face it, the United States government's not really on the top tier of everybody's likes right now. We have a low approval rating, and I think that we can sort of serve to practice public diplomacy to up our approval rating globally.
Especially with the way things are going in the world right now, you need all the help you can get when it comes to PR, when it comes to maintaining international relations, international affairs, and just helping clean up some of the messes that we've got on our hands right now. I think public diplomacy is really going to come into play quite soon in a bigger way.
Public diplomacy, I think, goes beyond state to include non-state actors. And it goes beyond publicity to include relationship building and reputation building.
Everywhere you see there's conflict, there's misunderstanding, there's all kinds of things, and I think public diplomacy should be used to foster peace and understanding.
When we are trying to communicate with the public, those are the people that we're trying to reach. We're trying to reach the people in the middle and persuade them or help them understand the message that we have to share.
If we did what it enables us to do properly all of the time, then we would really enable ourselves to continue into the future, in the best means possible for, making our environment sustainable, making relations with people sustainable, all these different things sustainable. It changes the whole way that you look at the world.
How big is the United States military? How much money does each country put into fostering their military? And yet how much money do we put into soft power and public diplomacy, which we can say that, yes, we need some military, and yes, we need some soft power. That's smart power, combining the two. But should we focus so much money every year on building up an army and not building up the diplomats that we can use to not kill people, to not coerce people? I think that public diplomacy is far more important than anybody gives it credit for.
I'm very wary of the fact that public diplomacy sometimes gets equated with persuasion tactics that are negative in propaganda ways, but I think that our job as scholars of public diplomacy is to change that.
It's cutting out the bureaucracy of it and going straight to the middle ground. It's affecting and working with the community leaders. It's working with not actually the grassroots itself, the house-to-house work. It's working with the people who are leaders in those communities. And they found that this is the way, this is kind of the model everyone's using for development, for post-conflict reconstruction, for crisis communication. They're working with the people in the middle because those people can create change underneath them on the grassroots, but they also have the ears and they have the influence of the people above them.
I really want to make the world a better place.